There are many rulers remembered throughout the course of history as monsters for good reason. Some murdered and tortured thousands of people during their reign. There is one man who is known as both a national hero of Romania and as the real-life inspiration for one of the most evil creatures in literature, whose torturous actions against his victims were ruthless and savage by any standards. The man's name was Vlad Dracula, voivod or ruler of Wallachia, also known as Vlad the Impaler. Born sometime around 1431 in Transylvania in Romania, and named after his father, Vlad III was the middle child of Vlad II, or Vlad Dracula, which is derived from Latin and Romanian for dragon. During this time, the Romanian areas of Transylvania and Wallachia were the locations of constant and bloody battles between the Muslim faith-based Ottoman Empire and the European Christian Crusaders, who pushed their beliefs of what they thought was the one true religion. Warfare was a way of life. In 1442, Vlad Dracula took 2 of his 3 sons to a meeting with the Ottomans to educate them in diplomacy, but they were taken hostage by the Ottomans instead. Dracula was told that he would be released, providing he would leave his sons for security. Luckily for Vlad III and his brother, the Ottomans kept them as hostages, but treated them according to their status of princes, and they received education in science, philosophy, and the art of war. The decision to leave would be one of Vlad II's last. A coup was organized by local warlords called the Boyar, who overthrew Dracula and murdered him and his oldest son. Vlad's older brother was tortured before being buried alive. When Vlad III returned home to Wallachia, he took the name Vlad Dracula, and after a power struggle that lasted from 1448 to 1456, took back the throne from a man named Vladislav. It's believed that Vlad personally beheaded Vladislav on the battlefield before taking control of the area. Historians believe that after the deaths of his father and brother, Vlad became the monster that we know of today. One of the first things he did after returning to Wallachia was to invite supporters of Vladislav to a banquet to discuss their differences. Anyone who showed up and didn't swear immediate loyalty to Vlad were stabbed and had their bodies impaled on spikes until they died a slow, torturous death. This method of dealing with his enemies became standard and was employed constantly on those unlucky enough to suffer the wrath of Vlad Dracula. Details on impalement are too gruesome to include here, but the voivod would go on to burn people alive, torture, decapitate, and hammer nails into the heads of his victims. Despite his horrific methods, Vlad was respected as a war strategist and commander who earned the nickname Kazaklu Bey, meaning the Impaling Prince in Turkish. In 1462, during a successful battle with the Ottoman Turks, he wrote a letter saying that he had killed over 23,000 people, and the total number of his fatalities will never be known. It can be estimated at around 100,000. He was eventually captured in 1462 and imprisoned by Hungarian forces. In 1476, he was released and married a relative of a Hungarian king. He was later killed in battle sometime between 1476 and 1477, decapitated, and his head was taken back to Constantinople, which was delivered to his enemy, Sultan Mehmed II. Vlad Dracula's remains were never found. He is still celebrated as a national hero by some who believe he was only fighting for the independence of Romania. By others, Vlad the Impaler was a direct descendant of the devil, who enjoyed torture and was immortalized as the definition of evil in Bram Stoker's 1897 novel, Dracula.